Hi everyone. Thanks for coming to my talk this afternoon. I think that there are many exciting things to do here in Denver. So I want to thank you again for choosing this talk. And what I'm going to talk about today is not something which becomes a center of attention often enough. Whether we debugging our software, writing code, brainstorming ideas, or just hanging out with our families, doing our hobbies, there is something which is always present, which is always with us, but which we don't pay much attention to. And this is our ability to be aware. This is something which we call consciousness or mind. Before I jump any further, a little bit of my background. I started getting interested in computing in general and algorithms, and then later in computers and programming languages when I was working at the Bio Research Lab. I just wanted to handle all the data I got myself. I didn't want any proxy between me and my results. So I decided instead of outsourcing it to somebody else, I'll just learn how to code. And while I started learning how to code, I quickly realized that that was the most exciting thing I've ever done in my entire life. I was home. Finally, everything made sense to me. On top of that, this exciting, inspiring activity, I also realized that software engineering community is actually a field where you can meet lots of bright people, inspiring people, and to this day, and I'm really, really happy to say this, I haven't met a single software engineer who would be a bad person. So later on, as I learned more and more code, I introduced myself to a Mac OS system, then later iOS. I figured I was charmed by the elegance of it, so I started learning iOS development, and I've been working as iOS developer for the past 4.5 years. Super happy, currently working with New York City-based startup called Spurfit. So as an outsider to the field, I was really happy to discover that my new passion came out with like a whole bunch of perks. For one, I could solve the problems. Most people don't even know the problems exist. I could solve them with tools. Most people are not even aware of existence. I got to work with the brightest people ever. I got to, experiment and play with new stuff. Software engineering in general promotes us to be like those lifelong learners, right? We have to know all things all the time, especially as iOS developers, May comes, we open our notebooks and make notes of what's going to come in September, right? Plus, software engineering is a very, very well-paid hobby. That's the practical aspect of it. However, if it was all, rainbows and unicorns, we probably wouldn't even be here, because when we're completely content and happy with our lives, we don't actually think much about mind. We think about other things, we think how to spend our time, but we don't really pay attention to what experiences the things. And as I quickly realized that software engineering wasn't really a career. For me and pretty much everybody else I know, it was a lifestyle. And as a lifestyle, it comes with a certain things you have to learn to deal with. For example, we get carried away with our projects. I know people who put their lives on hold to complete the project, from mild cases, not going out much, to really severe cases like not sleeping until the project is done. We're perfectionists. We want to write perfect code. This thing doesn't exist, but that doesn't stop us from striving for it. And the attempt to achieve something unachievable is actually very distressing. Something else I figure I don't necessarily like as a software engineer is an organizational overhead. It's this time of the day when you first come to your computer, you turn it on, you're ready to write some code. And then you realize, oh no, I can't because I need to talk to these people and arrange all this stuff. That is really upsetting, that creates a lot of stress. And on my way, I started thinking, well, you know, there's got to be a middle ground. There's got to be a way to be happy in all this mess. And surely enough, if you go on the internet or talk to psychologists or something else, there are ways to be happy, obviously. Most of them focus on creating an ideal environment around you, an environment which doesn't disturb you. For example, good advices. Have a healthy diet, have a healthy exercising routine, you know, manage your sleep-wake cycle, don't work more than 20 hours a day. And this is kind of creates a good environment, and this is kind of the source of happiness, but it really isn't. And the problem was this approach, you know, trying to create the ideal environment, that we run into three main obstacles. One of them being impermanence. However perfect conditions we have, they're going to fall apart. This is the second law of thermodynamics. You can't argue with this. Entropy always increases. Everything we build will fall apart. The second problem with searching for the happiness outside is our habitual patterns. We tend to react to certain stimuli in a certain way. And unless we consciously manage these habits, there's no way to get around them. We're still going to shout at people when we're angry. We're still going to be upset in certain situations because it's a habit. And the third one I wanted to point out is self-consciousness, which is not to be confused with self-awareness. Self-consciousness is this feeling when you feel like a target. You're like the center of attention. Everyone's around there judging you. They definitely paying attention. They're out there to get you. And this is a very non-productive state of mind, as we'll see a little later. So I'm going to go over all this to even emphasize my point that it's not possible to find happiness outside. I'm going to go over each of the points I mentioned before. So first one is impermanence. And again, on the outer world, it's pretty obvious. We can see how season changes and all this, you know, common knowledge. It's a little harder to realize when it comes to ourselves. And when it comes to ourselves, we tend to identify with certain things inherent in us. For example, we might identify with our bodies. Bodies are impermanent. Don't take my word for it. Look at the picture of yourself 10 years ago. Bodies are impermanent. We might identify with thoughts and feelings, or with the ideas, and they are even less permanent. I remember when I just started coding, I was sure that Python is the best programming language in the world. Guess what? Apple came out with Swift. I'm not so sure anymore. And feelings we have. You know, feelings change all the time too. So there isn't anything, not on the outside, but even in what we used to think as ourselves, there isn't anything we can say is lasting. It all changes all the time. The second obstacle for achieving the happiness through the outside means I mentioned is habitual patterns. And sometimes, because our brains are wired in a certain way, they form neural pathways. And it's easier for the brain to just follow the regular pathway, which was already there, than just, you know, go all the way and create a new one, or come up with the creative solution to the situation. In this situation, though, we act a little bit like amoebas. They don't act, they react. The stimulus comes and they stretch their paws, and they grab it or run away from it. There is no space between something that happened and the reaction. There is no space to think, to realize, oh, but do I actually want to shout? Will it be helpful? Who benefits from it? And taking away this space, we're not trying to develop this space, we're kind of taking away the joy of making the decision, the conscious decision in every moment. And the third obstacle I mentioned was the self-consciousness, right? It's that feeling. Everyone's around you, they're looking at you, they're judging you, they want to, compete with you, they want you to prove yourself to them. And this state is both productive, because actually, competing with the others, especially, highly, people who know a lot in their field, we can achieve good results. But this state, although productive, is not bringing happiness, because there's always someone there. Someone younger, someone smarter, faster, someone who's already done that. So there isn't any specific reason why we should be clinging to our idea of self so strongly that we always feel like a target. And, as we could see, hopefully, that happiness doesn't really come from the outside. What gets happy, though, is something inside. The house we buy doesn't get happy, the car we get doesn't get happy, the places we go to, they don't get happy. It's us who gets happy. It's something which is looking through our eyes and listening through our ears right now. That is the ability to stay aware at all times. And this thing, mind, is not that easy to discover, and it's not easy to discover the source of happiness. There are many philosophical systems. Some of them are targeted to the search for the meaning of life, to the search of the human place in the universe. Philosophers try to solve the problems of why we can't be happy all the time for centuries and centuries. The problem with philosophical systems, with purely philosophical approach, is that it's intellectual knowledge. It doesn't really touch our heart. It doesn't really change the perception. It's not going to change the way we react to the world. It's not going to change the way we interact. Philosophy is good, but that's not the way. And what is the way? Well, according to genre, right now I'm supposed to come up with some hack on how to be happy all the time. Well, the thing is, I don't know. Human development takes time. This is something which we all should figure out for ourselves, which is something that, we should be patient with ourselves and search for it. Because if we decide to perceive every moment as fresh, it's going to take time before we're able to actually do it. We're going to have to look really carefully at people around us, see how they react, see how they communicate with us. Are they happy? Are we making their lives more meaningful? Do we bring something new in our everyday routine? Regular day at work could change the life of your coworker because of your behavior, and you never know when, how, and why. So if we pay close attention to the people around us, and we're honest with ourselves, am I actually putting everything I have into my own personal development? That could be the first step on the way. And, there's something else I wanted to mention, and I don't know what's going to say at my funeral. It'll happen eventually. Someone hopefully will come up and say something nice. I don't know, maybe they'll say I was a great daughter, a good friend, mother, or, some nice things, hopefully. But what I know they're not going to say, they're never going to say, she wrote clean, protocol-oriented code. They're not going to say, she had an awesome sprint philosophy. Not gonna happen. So the purpose of this short talk was not actually provide any insight or, spiritual development results of whatever this is. It was just to draw attention into something which is beyond our day-to-day routines, but which is always there. Something which can be happy and is happy, and it's not relying on the outer conditions to be happy. Again, I'm not a guru. I'm not a mindfulness instructor. At best, I'm an amateur philosopher. But I really hope that some of the things, at least something I said just now, was a little bit of an inspiration for all of us to move on and have better lives and be more useful and helpful for the others. Thank you.